Judy, do you want to get started and do roll call, please?
I will. Hannes?
Yes.
Okay. Pankaj?
Here.
Terry Nienhuis?
Here.
Howard Bauman?
Here.
Joe Bauman?
Here.
Tom Bird?
Here.
Nathan Box? Ken DeWeerd? Okay. Linda Howell?
Here.
Jerry Huntsberger?
Here.
John Kleinaxel?
Here.
Kevin Kleinstra?
Here.
Don Mayo?
Here.
Glenn Nykamp? Okay. Jim Story?
Here.
Russ Tesla?
Here.
Todd Walters?
Yes.
And Tyler Kent from the MACC. He's here. Mara Garrity?
Here.
Kelly Goward?
Here.
Carolyn Olsted?
Here.
Rob Bink?
Here.
Judy Vischer, me here. Jim Kaminga and Tyler Kent from MDOT.
Present.
Arpen Lobo, Holland Sentinel? No? Okay, think we're done.
Thank you, Judy.
Did I miss
Welcome, everyone.
anyone? Did I not call someone who's on the call? Okay.
Thanks again, Judy. And thank you, everyone, for attending today's meeting. In front of you is the minutes from the September 28th meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those?
I'll move they be approved.
And that was
Terry?
Terry?
Thank you,
I'd second that.
And that was,
Jerry.
Jerry.
who was second?
Jerry.
Jerry.
Jerry. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you. We'll open up the meeting for any public comments. Anyone from the public who would like to speak? All right, seeing none, we will close the meeting to the public. At this time, environmental, program. I believe we have an update from Kelly and Rob.
Yeah, we do
Yeah,
have
and I can bring up the slides for the agricultural update. Not acting the way I really want it to, but we will make this work. Okay.
Ooh.
All right, is everyone seeing the agricultural update?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
All right, well, thank you for getting that up, Carolyn.
Yep.
And good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to go through a quick agricultural update here. So we just finished going over a few things for the year. So some of these updates may have some portions you've heard of already, and some of them should be new. So we could go to the next screen, Carolyn. So in the spring of 2020, we were able to provide a cost share on 836 acres of no-till. This was through Project Clarity with a grant from the Eagle, or through the Eagle 319 program. And then the summer of 2020, almost 1,200 acres of cover crops committed on the Great Lakes Commission grant. This is the GLC grant that was awarded in 2020. And we do have some funds available from this grant to install grass waterways. We've worked with a few growers on identifying locations in Zeeland Township, and I believe there's one in Overiceville Township also. So still working through some issues with landowners who are not on site, hard to get a hold of. So the GLC 2-stage channel and livestock crossing grant, we have a few pictures of that coming up if we could progress to the next slide. And these are a few of the ones you may have seen before. This was in Zeeland Township on a farm there with some highly eroded banks, and And next one, Carolyn. So we were able to, with help through Project Clarity and Nice Wander Environmental, to reshape this stream bank into a two-stage channel. We go to the next one, Carolyn. And we can keep going. Lots of pictures for you guys today. So we did start construction on this in July, and project went fairly smoothly. The name is suddenly evading me, but this was organization that did the construction was out of Zealand here. Next one, Carolyn. So after the banks have been constructed, this whole area has been reseeded, erosion blankets put down. You can see quite a bit of dirt was moved in the background there. That whole hillside was covered in dirt. There was more dirt moved than we had anticipated, so we did end up throwing down a lot of straw and some additional seed to revegetate the whole area. Next. So here's the straw that was down. This was actually after a rainstorm, and a lot of it held in quite well. Next one, Carolyn. The livestock crossing, part of this project was to put in a livestock crossing and then also some fencing to keep cattle from entering the stream. So they will be able to access the water at this crossing, but not anywhere else along the whole length of the pasture, or the whole length of the stream within this pasture. Next one, Carolyn. So this is just recently here, about 2 weeks ago. You can see this is the same crossing that we saw in the previous picture, and this whole pasture is revegetated nicely. They kept the cattle out of here since construction in July, so really had some good weather to get this growing. And I'm not even sure if they plan on getting the livestock back into this pasture yet this fall. It may be maybe that the fencing goes up this fall and the animals come back in the spring. Next. Just another view looking east. It's a lot of vegetation here. You can hardly even tell it it's a two-stage with as much green as there is coming up. Next. So the other part of this this grant was another two-stage project. This is being done in the city of Zealand between Meade Johnson and Reef Riley on the Broward Drain. This was done in collaboration with the Ottawa County Water Resources Commissioner. And this was taken here 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure where progress is at currently, but they had a pretty small section left to do. So you can see they're reconstructing the bank, providing that flood shelf there, and this will be reseeded and revegetated. Next, Carolyn. Another project that was also being done with the GLC stream bank stabilization in Holland Township. A couple pictures here right after a rainstorm. This was the first day that the contractor was in there removing trees, and I'm not sure if they had the stakes in yet for this or not, but trees were removed, and then Holland Engineering did provide the engineering for this. They came out and staked out the project. And this was a project completed by 28 specialties. So next pictures here, equipment, placing the rock. You can see we've got the stakes in place and the cofferdam in place to keep sediment from washing down the stream. Next. Another picture of the stream bank, more rock. Apparently it's difficult to get a hold of natural stone right now, but a contractor was able to find some for us. Next. So after completing the project we did on October 3, we had some volunteers out, which included my wife and my 2 kids there, who were helpful some of the time, but the other time they just enjoyed donuts. And got this project, a native, you can see this strip right next to the stone there is a native plant buffer. So a lot of native plants being put in there, and then we ended up putting down some mulch in that area as well. the next one. I'm gonna let Kelly take it from this stream or from this one here, but all the GLC grants that we have currently going, either the GLC Stream Bank or the 2-stage, are anticipated to be closed out at by the end of the year. So I think a little ahead of schedule on the one, but the other one, because of some weather issues last year, we were able to get it completed this year, and it will be closed out. So, are there any questions, comments, concerns on any of the ag projects or Stream Bank and 2-stage projects? Okay.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. Thanks for your effort on getting these projects done and partnering with our local partners, ODC, as well as the Water Resource Commissioner. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Kelly, do you have some information you'd like to report on?
Yeah, I've got just an update on the GLRI stormwater grant. Are you guys hearing me?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yep.
just making sure, since my microphone likes to sometimes work and sometimes not. So we just finished a semi-annual report on this grant. So, I mean, you've heard some of this information, but this is the first time that we've kind of compiled a report and put all the numbers to it. So just kind of a recap on the progress since we started this grant on April 1st. There are multiple components to this, the biggest being designing and installing some green stormwater installations in the city of Holland. So one of the first things that we did was bid for engineering services and went through a bidding process. And we hired the team of Drubbin, Carpenter, and Fishbeck, and they delivered final plans for projects at the Holland City Hall and at Collin Park at the end of August. So at this point in the project, we are waiting to receive a quote from the engineering team to assist us with moving the project forward, with helping to manage the bidding process and then oversee the construction next year. So we're waiting for that quote. We did have there should be ample funds in the grant. They modified the conceptual plans a little bit, so it's less costly than we anticipated. So we do have enough funds in the grant to kind of retain their services to help assist us through the rest of the project. So assuming everything goes smoothly on that, we'll do that bidding process this winter, and then with hopefully planning to start construction sometime after tulip time. Another component of this project is also working with the City of Holland, but on curb cut rain gardens. So these are all in conjunction with road reconstruction projects. It's a perfect time to put in curb cut rain gardens when the entire road's going to be tore up anyway. They're going to put in new curb and gutter. So we put in 4 on 19th Street with that project last year. So those gardens were planted this spring, and the next slide I've got some pictures to show you kind of the progression of those gardens. We planned 5 more on 20th and 21st Streets for those reconstruction projects this year. So 21st Street construction is complete, so there's 2 rain gardens in there. One, the homeowner went ahead and planted. The other one we're going to wait and plant next spring. And then there's 3 on 20th Street, and that construction, I believe, is still ongoing. So we're planning to plant all of those in the spring. And then we have 1 more year on the grant that we could get some more of these rain gardens in. So next year, 10th Street and College Avenue, portions of those are slated for reconstruction. So we have started doing the outreach to those homeowners on there. We've received interest from just 1 person on College Avenue so far, but we're still fairly early in that process. And then along with these rain gardens, the City of Holland was able to produce 2 videos about them. One was during the planting day on 19th Street. So they were able to actually interview one of the homeowners, as well as myself, to talk about the project. And then we did a second video a little bit later with Brian White from the city, just talking in general about city stormwater management and how these curb cut rain gardens fit into that plan. Carolyn, if you go to the next slide. So here is kind of a progression of just one of those rain gardens on 19th Street. So we planted it on May 29, so that's that first picture that you see. And then the rest of these pictures are about a month apart. I tried to get out either every week or every other week to take pictures of each of the gardens from multiple angles. So these are generally showing you from the same angle. I don't remember exactly. I think there were 5 species that went into this garden. And what you see blooming there is black-eyed Susan, and bloomed for several months. So that certainly is a good species that, you know, we know performs well the first year. Most native plants take a few years to get going. They put more of their growth into the root system. But if we want that early pop of color, black-eyed Susans will be a good way to go in the future. And so far, these 4 rain gardens on 19th Street are performing quite well. Haven't noticed any plant mortality. The homeowners have been keeping up with keeping weeds out and even kind of adding some other aesthetic features. Like you can see the rocks here that homeowner added completely on their own. Next slide. So just kind of wrapping up on the stormwater grant, the third major component of this is developing a MACC rainscaping program. And so this is something that the Lower Grand River Organization of Watersheds does. And so we were able to receive some training and materials from them. And then we're working with local partners to modify the program for best use in the MACC watershed. And so that involves developing some training materials so that we can train volunteers to go out and do site assessments for homeowners and give them basic recommendations for putting in rain gardens or rain barrels. So it's not always on staff to go out and do those site assessments. Staff will support the volunteers doing that and then follow up with the homeowners. So we're still in the process of developing that whole program, and certainly restrictions due to COVID-19 have impacted that, but we're hoping to get that really set up this winter and probably do some kind of hybrid virtual and site visit training in the spring and really get that program going next summer. We did create a website for the program, so that is available now, that just talks about what it will be, what the rainscaping practices are. And then we did have the Sentinel print an article for us in the Living Sustainably column, and we've included information in our MACC newsletter. And based on those articles, we have had quite a bit of interest from homeowners already, contacted by 13 homeowners. 7 of them actually scheduled site visits with staff since we don't have volunteers trained yet. And out of those 7 site visits, 2 actually installed rain gardens. So the one you see pictured there is one of those that was installed. So a fairly small rain garden as far as the impact goes, just taking some stormwater runoff from the roof surface. But what the grant enables us to do is provide some financial offset to that homeowner, both on the curb cut rain gardens and a rain garden like this in a backyard. It's pretty standard. We're trying to give that $300 to each homeowner, whether they're part of the curb cut rain garden program or just the general rainscaping program. The second one I don't have pictures of because technically it was not implemented by the time we submitted the report. It happened afterwards. Any questions about the stormwater grant? Okay, Carolyn, if you want to go to the next slide. We did submit a grant application, so I want to run through that quickly, and then there is an action we are requesting on this. So we applied to the Midwest Glacial Lakes Partnership 2021 Lake Conservation Grant Program just last week, I believe it was. This is a new grant for us. We had not previously applied under this program before. But locally, we've been talking with ODC Network and some other partners about what are our next steps in the watershed. And we're really at the point where our management plan is getting older. It's about 8 years old, and usually management plans for watersheds lasts for about 10 years. And so we're to the point where we need to start updating the management plan. And a lot of that can be done with staff time. There are certain aspects of it that we need to hire a consultant to do. And so that's what we're trying to seek some grant funding for. So for this particular application, we're seeking funds to conduct a geomorphic assessment. And this is really critical for helping us identify and prioritize sites for restoration, both in stream, riparian, and upland. And then a lot of the management plan kind of feeds off of the results of this assessment. And then in the process of getting the assessment, we also need updated aerial photography and land use in order for the consultant to conduct the assessment. So then we'll have that information to use in other models and maps. So we requested $60,000 from the grant, and we're providing just over $63,000 in match, a good chunk of that from ODC Network in cash for the aerial photography and land use that they will purchase, and then also providing some for the consultant to do the assessment. And then the rest of the match is going to be all in-kind staff time. From the MACC, it's going to be working on maps and other updates to the management plan that are in support of the geomorphic assessment. And then Fishbeck is a consultant that we will work with, so they are providing some of the cost as match. They did the original assessment in 2012, so it just made sense for them to do the updated version. So the application is in, we've received confirmation. They go through their review process, and notifications will occur next summer, so we could potentially start this project next August. So at this point, we are just seeking a motion to designate Tyler Kent as the MACC's authorized representative to negotiate and sign the grant contract should it be awarded, so that if we do get that notification, we are ready to go. So any questions about that before we move forward with that motion?
Kelly, quick question for you. Is it fair to say that Eagle would like for us to update the watershed management plan because of the work that's been conducted in the plan since 2010?
Yeah, so the management plan we have right now was approved in 2012. And just based on the amount of implementation that we have done under that management plan, the plan outlines kind of high, medium, and low priorities, and we've really hit most of the high priorities. But since the plan says something is medium and low, it makes it really difficult for us to justify funding for projects that are medium and low on our plan. So we really need to update the plan to elevate some of those medium and low priority projects to a higher status in order to leverage the grants. And we have met with Eagle staff, and they are in agreement that that's just where we are in the process, is we need to do an update of the management plan to reflect the current conditions.
Thank you. So you need a motion to on this then?
Right, yep, just to authorize you as our authorized representative to negotiate the contract if we should be awarded the grant.
Okay.
Tom Bird so moves.
Story second.
Second, Jim Story?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Thank you, Kelly, for that presentation, as well as Rob for your work as well. Thank you. All righty. Next on the agenda, transportation program. Carolyn?
Okay. Yeah, so I think first up, we're going to go through a TIP amendment. So I will share my screen again and bring that up. Just want to make it a little larger so you can actually read it. Okay. So I'll share my screen. Okay. I think the TIP amendments are pretty straightforward this month. If you're able to see the screen, see that there are 4 amendments. but it's really just 2 jobs total. So the first 2 listed are 1 job, so it's the engineering phase and then construction phase. This is new added in, it's a new phase being added to the tip. And this is for pavement marking. So it's an MDOT job, region-wide. So it could be anywhere on the system. And this is just going to be, like I said, a phase add. So we're adding this onto the tip, and looking at the total phase cost, because this is a region-wide job, you'll see that the federal funds and the state funds do not equal the total cost of the phase, since that only really represents what's currently in the MAC. And then the total phase cost would be across the entire multi-region area. And then the last 2, which is another job, this is an MDOT. They're both construction phase, and I'll kind of walk you through a little bit. The third one listed there, so the first one for this job, it's a signing replacement, and someone went in to change the budget. And then the last one there, you'll see that's zeroed out. So it's 0 federal, 0 state, 0 local, nothing, but then you have the total phase cost. So what happened here is then another person went in to make another adjustment onto this job, and that was to remove sign replacements in FY22 from the MAC area. So this particular fiscal year, we will not be having a sign replacement. I think it had to do with 1 job that they were going to put it on. It might be moved to a different year. So this is really just showing they went in to do a cost change, and then it was removed from the MAC, so it triggered another amendment. So pretty straightforward, some sign replacements and pavement markings for MDOT. Does anyone have any questions, or would anyone like to make a motion?
I'd move to accept the changes as recommended.
Thank you, Jerry.
Supports.
Thank you, Hannes. Okay, yep, so pretty straightforward. Oh, all those in favor, say aye.
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 No, same sign. All right, wonderful. Okay, and that motion has passed. I will stop sharing now. Okay. Beyond the TIP amendment, I just wanted to give a couple transportation updates. One, you may be aware that we held our kind of official Green Commute Week October 5 through 9. Since it was canceled this spring, we wanted to reschedule it. And because things still looked a little different this year, this Green Commute Week really was not very similar to our typical, big Green Commute Week. It reflected a little bit more about, kind of like how we would schedule and manage our mini commute weeks or mini events. So, yeah, but overall, I think it was on par with those kind of more mini events that we've been doing throughout the year. So we were still really happy. There were 52 people that participated. They racked up over 1,500 miles, which is pretty impressive. And then that saved around 1,300 pounds of CO2 from being emitted to the atmosphere. So that program will continue. Hopefully, maybe this next spring we'll have a Green Commute Week that's similar to what we are used to seeing. The other update I wanted to let you know about is that our MPO was chosen to be a part of MDOT's non-motorized count program for next year. During one of our meetings, it was announced by MDOT that they were looking for 2 more small MPOs to participate in this non-motorized count program. The other one is Jackson. I'm not sure if they found a third. So after hearing about that, I called them up the next day, and since we were kind of like first come, first serve, we were able to get in, and MDOT will be doing 10 count locations for non-motorized. It could either be on road or it could be on path. And those will take place at the height of the summer, so kind of a June through August. So I feel really lucky that they're going to be doing some of those counts for us. I know I've worked with some of you, if you're already on the tech committee, to figure out which of those 10 locations we'll do. They add up pretty quick. But we're trying to get a nice geographic distribution, and then really looking to see, in the summer months, I think generally, if someone lives around here, they're going to be cycling in the summer months, but then also I think some of the locations that we'll choose will probably also reflect a lot of that, the visitors as well to the area. So excited for that. I think those are all the updates I have for transportation. So we could move on if there aren't any questions about that program.
Yeah, Hannes wished that we could revisit the original gas tax
Okay.
increase.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Hannes.
That's my attempt at some transportation humor.
Okay. Yeah, so we could move on then to the, I think that leads really nicely into MDOT's comments.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. It's the MDOT Tyler. Got a few updates for you. Brought this forward at the Technical Advisory Committee. I have a few general updates, and I'll pass it off to Don, who has a few from the federal side. A lot's happened over the last month, actually. And then also, I'd like to cover some upcoming projects next calendar year, but I guess technically this fiscal year. So just a couple of things real quick. The Rebuilding Michigan bonding program, as we talked about kind of in the summer, it was proposed by the governor, and earlier this year it was approved by the State Transportation Commission in late January. It's about $3.5 billion in bonded funds, and most of those projects that use those funds will be constructed in 2021, 2022, and to some degree 2023. As of today, the bonds issued are about 800 million, so 800 with a million, with an M. And, we'll issue those as the projects become closer to construction. A couple of things to note about that. I know we've talked about it before, but the funds do not come from local Act 51 allocations. It's just essentially MDOT using our own funds from the, our future years, and then we have to pay ourselves back moving forward. It's just an acceleration, more or less, of our funding. And as we get into next year, as I talk about the projects a little bit later, we'd like to kind of give a more formal presentation about, the projects that are ongoing in the area, because there are a lot of them, kind of our intent of staging traffic and maintenance of traffic, and just making sure that everybody understands where we're headed with all the construction. Also, I think a lot of you are probably aware of this by now, but in August there was another consensus revenue estimating conference. They initially thought there was a $3.4 billion with a B dollar hole in the budget. In August, they revised that, I guess, up or down, I don't know, to about $1 billion deficit. So it's manageable, sort of manageable, but they were able to account for that in the budget. It was signed by the governor on September 30th, and also in that budget, it included $600 million from the general fund, general purpose income tax, and that'll be distributed through the Act 51 formula. So all agencies will receive that full amount from 2015 road package. And then I'm going to hand it off to Don real quick if he's got any updates statewide or on the federal side, and then I'll talk about some projects.
Thanks, Tyler. You probably all have heard by this point, but we did get a continuing resolution for the FAST Act. The details of that is that they gave us an apportionment, so our allocations through the fiscal year, but they only gave us obligation limitation through December 11th, which is about 9.1 billion. The anticipation is that as we move forward, they will continue to grant us obligation limitation throughout the year. It'll just be in a stepped process. So that does give the possibility of delaying a project if lots of people get things out early and there's not obligation limitation released yet. So that's how it affects you. Just some overall things. The continuing resolution did provide a 10.4 billion general fund transfer to the highway account, and 3.2 billion general fund transfer to the mass transit account. And the Also, a 14 billion general fund transfer to the Airport and Highway Trust Fund to make up for the aviation excise tax holiday that was included in the CARES Act. It also suspends the Rostanowski fiscal solvency test for mass transit. And what that does is it keeps there from being a reduction in 2021 to the mass transit. It increased the INFRA grant. The multimodal cap on that grant went from 500 million to 600 million. And then it also extended the 2017 and 2018 build grant obligation deadline so that money can still be obligated through September of 2021. And there was a 13.6 billion transfer to the Highway Trust Fund to make sure that it remains solvent through the fiscal year 2021, which is what was requested by AASHTO. And the other piece of this that, you know, as we drill down a little bit, the allocation to, or the apportionment to MDOT was held at the 2020 level. However, as they calculate the apportionments, there's a statute or something that every state that contributes has to get at least 95% back of what they contribute. So in previous years, Texas, there was a contribution back to Texas because they were not getting enough. This year, when that happened in those calculations, Colorado dropped below that 95%. So they had to go back through and recalculate that apportionment again. So what that means is that although it's considered 2020 levels, because of that calculation, it reduced allocations by about 0.75%. So your allocation this year, that varied between areas. So your allocation is not only lower than your 2021 estimate, which was based on a 2% increase, but it also might be about 0.5 to 0.75% less than what you got in 2020. So what that means is that all of your projects, if you have to be within that fiscal constraint of that allocation. Those allocations were sent out to Carolyn last week, I think, by Heidi Phaneuf. So there might be some adjustments that you have to do with your projects if you were programmed all the way out to your 2021 estimate. And those allocations won't be put into our MMS database. So your fiscal constraint, you won't have to address fiscal constraint until December, because that won't happen until the end of November. So basically, you got a month to go through, so you can go through your TAC committee and your normal process to make any adjustments to those projects that are necessary. Any questions on the FAST Act extension?
I'll just jump in really quick and say that, yeah, we got those numbers on Friday. So what I'll be doing is anyone who does have an FY21 job on the tip, I'll be reaching out to you directly. So we'll have some of those conversations, but then we'll also bring it to TAC to kind of figure out what we want to do. It's about $13,000 that's being reduced on the STP side. That will have to come out of the federal shares from those tip projects.
So it's not a big adjustment, but there is an adjustment.
Yeah, I think one thing we could run into is that, you know, just due to our size being a little bit smaller, there aren't a whole lot of projects within FY21, and a couple of them are due to, you know, start pretty soon here. I think there's a bridge project, and I know that even City of Holland's 10th Street, I think they're getting ready to go pretty soon for obligation. So we might run into a couple of those issues.
So remember that your fiscal constraint is based on your program, your planning estimates, your programming estimates. So if you have projects that are ready to go, you don't necessarily have to change your engineering or anything, because you have that 25% leeway between what's programmed as an estimate and what your engineering comes through and what gets submitted for obligation. So there is some leeway there. So it is possible to reduce your programming, but not reduce what you turn in for obligation based on, you know, of course, you know, your internal negotiations.
Yep. So we'll figure it out.
Yep. As far as the overall statewide budget, they announced a $73 million reduction over the entire state for capital improvement projects. So for road projects. The way they're splitting that out is they're going to reschedule about $30 million worth of projects that would be overlays or rehabilitation projects across the state, and move them to future years, or somehow rebalance that. And then there's they're going to move jobs that, and those are jobs that have just state funds in them. So, and then they also are looking at about 43 million in jobs that are federal and state to take up that other 43 million of state funds. So those would be matching funds for federal funds. And they're looking at moving those out probably beyond the current steps. Those are 2024, 2025. They basically have put out a call for projects to all of the regions to see where they would make adjustments. So I can't answer a question about how this is going to affect the MACC area. You might have no projects that are changed, or you might have something. I don't know yet. But anyway, that process has started. I'm just giving you a heads up, the process has started. Our statewide systems management section, I think, is requested back by mid-November, the recommendations from the region. So it'll be sometime in December by the time we have actual project changes that we can talk about. But just want to let you know that was in the wind. I think unless there's questions about that, I think that's all I have for right now. Yeah.
Tyler, anything else?
Muted.
Unmute.
Thank you. Just real quick for everyone, just a couple of project updates. The projects I'm talking about are part of that bonding program I mentioned earlier. So to my understanding, this $73 million in kind of reprogramming of jobs does not affect these jobs in particular because they are bonded. It's just more of a general region program. So kind of like Don said, resurfacing, not these major reconstruct projects that we have here, but something to keep in mind. We've talked about this in the past a little bit, and you'll probably see it on your tip as we move forward here. But 196, there's a lot of reconstruction on westbound, particularly from M40 southwest to about the Kalamazoo River. That includes a full reconstruct and a replacement of the Kalamazoo River bridges. It also includes some culvert work, especially over Kuiper's Drain. That's all in 2021. And I think there's actually a bridge replacement over the CSX Mainland Railroad. So there's going to be a lot of work on that. And, as you guys are probably aware, there's going to be a lot of traffic, maintenance of traffic throughout the area because it's a heavily utilized corridor. And then in 2022, we got a lot of jobs on US 31 as it kind of extends into Southern Holland there from the I-196 split into Southern Holland. That's a full reconstruct there. I think there's kind of once you get east of Central Ave, kind of on the south side, southeast side, it's more of a major rehab, but it's still going to be tied in with the bigger reconstruction. And then if you're heading off northeast to Grand Rapids, kind of between Byron and 32nd, there's also another reconstruct project on that one in 2022. I think it only involves westbound only, but it'll still probably have a lot of impact for shifting traffic on the different bounds and, maybe some lane restrictions throughout the day or during peak periods. But, next year, early next year, I'd like to get our TSC and some other folks just to kind of talk about the projects, how we're staging these things. I have even brought up the work in Grand Haven that we're doing with the drawbridge in 2021 and 2022, which will have an overall impact on kind of regional mobility. So there's a lot of maintenance of traffic work we're trying to figure out still. We have a general idea, but as we get, closer to that start date, there's some tweaking we have to do as we move forward. But, I just wanted to make everyone aware of that. It is, it's coming up faster than I really initially thought, but we're almost there. So, any questions on projects? If not, I'm done on my end.
Thanks, Tyler. Thanks, Don.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Carolyn, as well. Administration issues. In front of you is a copy of the financial report. We included some notes in there from Chris Brown, our accountant. We're still waiting for some bills with regard to the GLRI grant, as well as MDOT's billing, to make sure that they're all in. So we will have our audit to I think in December, so everything will be in and confirmed by then. Any questions with regard to the budget? Alrighty, on to the executive committee reports. Get back here real quick. And you got a copy of the strategic plan, the full plan that was put together by Al, John, and Regina. I want to thank them for their efforts and working with us through that process. The report as submitted mirrors that of our comments and thoughts at the strategic plan session. We're already starting to work on, and some of those projects are already in the process of being worked on. So we will continue to work through that. My plan is to update both the executive committee as well as the full policy board on a quarterly basis, keeping everyone updated on where we're at throughout the strategic plan and those sections that were addressed within the plan itself. You can't hear it now, they've paused, but some maintenance is being done to the MACC building. New roof is being put on it today. That's something that's been long overdue, so we're happy to see that finally being done. You can see behind Carolyn there, the board covering her window. That's not an architectural feature there. So we're happy to see that work's being completed, and that process is moving forward. And then we'll just have to work through over the next few months. We'll see if we're going to be meeting in person anytime soon. It seems like Zoom is working now for the time being, and we'll just have to monitor COVID in the region and how we move forward. Anyone have any comments, thoughts, or questions? Alrighty, we'd like to get back to at least having some member comments. I know in the past the government body that we were meeting at would provide some thoughts and ideas on things that are going on within their organization. So we wanted to keep that moving forward. So we picked 2 townships today, Park and Olive, and like for each of you just to kind of give us a little bit of a report. So Jerry, the ball's in your court.
Okay, thank you. Of course, a lot going on, just like there is every place. Sure is different though, isn't it? Doing most things by Zoom. We've had COVID positive tests by staff. We've had a close and quarantine our office. We've got things back. Everybody but our election people. Our election people are going bonkers. We've had over 8,000 absentee ballot requests out of 14,000 registered voters. Fortunately, our 3 staff are doing fine. One of them, and I guess under HIPAA you're not supposed to be specific, so I won't be, but one of them had about 10 months ago had a liver transplant. So we're very concerned about his positive test. He's going to have to be careful for the rest of his life. Big focus has been what we formerly called the airport, and anybody calls an airport, I correct them. It's not an airport anymore. The runway is out. One of the challenges that the board's going to have going forward is to name it, whether it be an air park or whether it be Park Central, whatever, we don't know. It's pretty much central to our township. The land area, which was 80 acres, although there was a 10-acre reverter clause on 10 acres that was donated by the Holland Chamber back in the 60s to us, had a reverter clause that they get it back if it's no longer used as a public airport. We're still waiting for a response from them. We've been waiting for months for a formal response from them. And if you hear irritation in my voice, it's because I am irritated. It's caused us a lot of problems not having a formal response. Because what we've asked them months ago was to allow us to keep the 10 acres and change the reverter clause to say that we'd use it for public purposes. We know it's not an airport anymore because the runway is out. So this is going to be a huge challenge getting public input and exactly how we're going to use that strategically located property. We've already just about finished putting new bike paths in off 152nd on the north edge of the airport to Perry Street, and from the west edge of the airport from 152nd to Perry Street, which can be a huge addition. Right there where those two bike paths will meet the end of Perry, we also own 65 acres, have had for a number of years, that really wasn't very accessible. It's called Coker Van Wieren, and it's going to be a rustic park with trails and all that, which will be open next spring. One of the really important issues we've been dealing with for the past several months is working out a continuation of public transit. And without going into details, I just want to shout out, Russ, thank you for your help and your leadership. I think we're close. Our board will be dealing with that, and you folks here in the next couple of weeks, because obviously it's our intent to be able to continue some type of public transit. But and I'm sincere, without your leadership, I'm not sure we would have got where we are. So thank you. Exciting things happening, and that's what you want to focus on, because you have the problems popping up every day. But very exciting thing is on the south side of Lake Macatawa, Park Township has a public boat ramp. We own that property. It's not a road in. About a year and a half ago, we got a grant of a little over $600,000 in the balance from general fund. We purchased a home that had been for sale next to that boat ramp. And if you go by there, you can actually see Lake Macatawa from Shore Drive, because there's no place else you can see it because of all of the homes. And it's exciting. It's going to be obviously open to the public, mostly as a kayak park, small boat launch, like it's always been. And we're really excited about that. It's not going to rival Collin Park or Dutton Park. So the city and Holland Shire Township, don't need to worry, but it'll give people an option to access the water, which is getting to be in short supply. So we're really excited about that. Last comment I'd have is my 12 years on the board is going to come to the end. I believe it's November 20th at 12 noon. I've enjoyed, first of all, participating on this committee, but in different ways with each of you. I'm also looking forward to doing something else besides going to meetings and dealing with 18,000, trying to keep 18,000 people happy. Very confident Howard Fink, our manager, and our board, including Jim Gerard, who is going to be the supervisor. Dr. Gerard's currently on the board. I just spent 2 hours with him again this morning, going through some transition things, and told him how important, and I mean this sincerely, that his participation with this policy committee is, because I think the potential that this committee has is the way we're going to move forward together. So with that, I'll say thanks for all the help and the mentorship from many of you. Hopefully our paths will cross in the future.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Todd in the state of Florida.
Yeah, as you can see, we don't have a lot happening in Olive Township, so I bug go. Now, me and my wife headed down for a couple of weeks here. We just bought a place in the RV park down here last January, and just picked up an RV and threw it on here just so for my wife for in the winter time. So I'll be up in Michigan all winter working. So just don't feel too bad. Olive Township is not a lot happening. We've been doing quite a bit with roads. 108th Avenue, we got about a mile there that we're reconstructing from gravel to pavement. Quite a few homes in that area. Township has also kicked in money to the road commission, where we had some chip seals that were scheduled that we instead of doing a chip seal, we did a relay to help out in some of those areas. because the chip seal, like I say, is just a Band-Aid after a while and buys you a little time. But as the township funds are available, we try to improve our road system the best we can. Otherwise, not a lot else happening down there. We're pretty quiet, and it's, yeah, we'll go from there. So, and Jerry, good luck with your retirement.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Any other members have any comments, questions, thoughts?
No, I just wanted to say, as Todd has said, thank Jerry for his input over the years, and it's been a real pleasure working with him, and wish him the best.
Thank you.
All right, other issues. For next month, I'm working on coordinating a meeting, some representatives from the Model Communities Leadership Council, Peter Haynes from Ottawa area ISD, as well as Jennifer Owen from Lakeshore Advantage, to discuss the Grand Rapids Community College campus on the east side of Holland, give you each an update of that plan, where it's currently at, and where they see the future of GRCC in the community, and possibly additional funding that may be required to see that project forward. So I would like to meet in person so that we get that face-to-face conversation going, and they can answer any questions that you have, understanding that the COVID cases are increasing. We'll kind of have to play that by ear and see how that goes. Also, next month, Carolyn and Mara would like to do a presentation with regard to MACC Transit and the study that they had conducted earlier this year. There's a lot of good information within that plan that they put together, that study that they put together, and I'd like for them to share that with the board. So I'll stay in touch with everyone, and Judy will probably send out an email and see if we can either conduct that meeting in person, and if not, we'll do it by Zoom. But we'll keep you up to date on that. Again, I'd like to thank Jerry for his time and commitment to the MACC and to the Holland area in general. Appreciate all that you've done for us. I know that you and I have worked together for a very short time, but I appreciate all that you've done and being able to come in and lend an ear and chat for a little bit. So thank you for your time, and I'll be sure we'll connect again relatively soon. So with that being said, next month's meeting.
Wait a minute. Jerry, we didn't forget about you. We have something for you. Can you get it? Tyler,
I'll stop by and get it. Thank you.
Deliver it before November 20.
Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Just to let you all know that Jerry has served on this policy board from January 2013 till November 2020. Thank you.
Thank you.
We've got one for Glenn as well, Glenn Nightcap, so I will reach out to Glenn as well. Connect. That being said, next month's meeting will be November 23rd at noon. There are any additional comments or questions? Ask for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
That was who?
Terry?
Okay.
Support by Box.
Thanks, Mayor.
Yeah.
All in favor, please say aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. Take care. Be safe.
Take care.
Thank you.
Good day.